Hello and welcome to my channel. You will see how it's possible to using the FlutterFlow-socket with one project which I called FlutterFlowBenchmark. So FlutterFlowBenchmark is inspired with XcodeBenchmark. In my previous video, you can check how the Mac Mini with M4 Pro processor is behaving, and it's possible to build regular iOS project. But my idea is to create FlutterFlowBenchmark project with all major FlutterFlow features there, and then to check how much time it's needed to build iOS, Android, macOS, Windows browser apps from that one source. Also, you will see that FlutterFlow-socket is possible to use with multiple Flutter debug processes, and which advantages has it's over the built-in FlutterFlow local run. I'm personally using the FlutterFlow local run really often, and it's a really awesome feature. But when it's coming to the comparing and testing concurrently on multiple devices, physical and simulators, then the FlutterFlow-socket has its own advantages there. Also, I will show you how to use the FlutterFlow on iPad with Apple Pencil and have the ability to hot reload and hot restart for the web apps on multiple devices. iPad is not possible to install the Xcode and to run the iOS apps, and then also not to run the Flutter iOS apps. But when you have some build machine, for example, Mac Mini, and then you have connected over Wi-Fi or over USB cable that one iPad, you can then run that app from Mac and using the FlutterFlow on iPad for building. But then how to fetch that changes you can with FlutterFlow-socket there. So when the push to GitHub is done, then the webhook will rebuild the app, and you will see that all that changes immediately on the FlutterFlow. Also, I'm usually using the FlutterFlow macOS app, and it's pretty awesome. It's working much faster than the browser app. But one missing feature for me is a long term there. There is the 3 steps with mouse clicking for push to GitHub. So there I decided to create the shortcut. So we will use the BetterTouchTool where we can use the F1 button, and then from any window in the Mac which is selected currently, you can then select the FlutterFlow and perform all that 3 steps automatically, which will then push the changes to the GitHub. So you will check that later. Inspired by XcodeBenchmark and integrated there our build with 103 seconds on our that machine, on which we will also perform here. I created the project FlutterFlowBenchmark here, so it's just here integrated. It's really simple for now, we will see later. Also, we will use the FlutterFlow-socket. That FlutterFlow-socket plugin, you can check the whole documentation, and you can use in your own FlutterFlow or even in Flutter app. So it has all that automatically watching and hot reloading features. And you'll see how it's compared to the local run, which is for me a really awesome feature. But then you are just have the development on concurrently on one device. So how the FlutterFlow-socket in general works. So in terminal you need to have one watch script, which will be just ./watch. In another terminal you can have one or multiple run processes, so ./run, and then continuing with the Flutter device ID, which you can get with the Flutter devices there. I will show you that how it's running. So here we are, and as I mentioned previously, in that terminal session here we have just ./watch, That script is the bash script, but which is internally using the Node.js script, and it's listening for the changes in GitHub branch. And then when the webhook is so when the push to GitHub is done from Flutterflow, then the GitHub will send the webhook here to that process, and it will just run the another bash script, which will pull the changes from GitHub repository and then send the Unix signal to the one or multiple Flutter debugging processes. So here we have a /run with that Flutter device ID, and actually that is my iPhone SE second generation here on the table. Another process right now here, it is Wi-Fi connected device to the Android device, Motorola Edge 30 Ultra there on FFS HR Wi-Fi there. Third process here is the /run/macOS, so it's the native macOS app. Fourth one is the web app, it's the process running in Chrome. And the fifth one is the running processes on the iPad, which is also here on my table. And the sixth process is the just listening for the changes. Finally, we are coming to the real stuff. So here we have 6 screens. So the first one is the iPad there. So it's running the iOS app on iPad. And as you can see, here is the FlutterFlowBenchmark project. And actually, I can use it here as the Apple Pencil. For example, I can just come here and, for example, switch to logout 8. Then using the push to repository, and I can push the changes. So right now that's immediately is running on the iPad there. Here I have, I'm using that screen sharing app to show exactly the screen from iPhone there. And here is the iPhone SE. So here we have the Chrome app, we have the Motorola Edge Android app, here we have native macOS app. And here in the top right corner, there is the macOS Flutter Flow app, which there also has the stuff for real-time seeing changes in the project. Here is the issue with showing the changes, because it seems that the app is here. I will just check in the terminal. If we just go back to the terminal, we can check what's happening here, and we can see that one app it crashed, so we can rerun it there on Motorola. So that's the first reason why it's not working correctly. Here we have iPhone SE, and if we check on iPhone SE, everything is correct. Also here we have, okay, so here is the app, and we just need to wait that app is installed. As you can see, Let's View is running on the Motorola there. On the Chrome, let's open the Chrome also. Here we have the Chrome, and Chrome is actually successfully reloaded, but only the issue was with Let's View because it was not the active window. And now, as you can see, everything is completely changed. But let's imagine that we can just again use the Apple Pencil and switch in the iPad, for example, to logout 9, and then push to repository. Then until we are waiting for push, here we have the logout 8. Let's switch to the terminal there. You will see here below, and now the new commit came from the Flutterflow. And as you can see in all that terminal sessions here, we have apps running. Let's just switch to the end. And immediately if we come back here, we'll see that on all devices we have all that changes. But let's, for example, if we use not the iPad Flutterflow app, but we can use the macOS app. If we just come here, we can change from logout 9 maybe to logout 10. And then we can use the here click, push to repository and push there. As you can see, here is the additional 3 clicks. And if we come back to the terminal, we'll see that right now in the terminal we got the new changes, and on the all 5 processes we got the reload there. So we can see all that logo changes there. But we can use also the one really nice shortcut which I have. I'm using I will show you that later, how is the configuration work, but actually it's using the BetterTouchTool. So for example, you make the changes in the app, for example, to the logout 9, and then I can be anywhere in the Mac on any screen, and I can click the F1. As you can see, I did automatically got the programmatically clicking for that 3 steps with BetterTouchTool. So that's the easy way how you can configure any app anywhere on the Mac that can got that really nice shortcut with programmatically clicking. As you can see, logout 10 it's not working correctly, but why? If we just come back here, that's because Let's View didn't refresh it here. So here on the third monitor I have all the screens visible, just to have everything here visible. And so let's come back to the iPad again. In the iPad I will just go back here, and what you can see here, if I just click here, and also I have the issue here because it didn't update correctly here, but that's the issue with Flutter Flow editor. So let's delete that one and put 12. So we are here, and if we come back again to the Flutterflow app on the Mac, we can see that we have logout 12 here. If we just click push, and as you can see, it takes about 10 seconds when you click push to GitHub, and now it's pushed. Immediately when it's pushed there, you will see that after that about 6 seconds it takes that the app is reloaded there. As you can see, it looks like the macOS it's not happening immediately, but it is. But that's because the synchronization between the screen sharing MMH app here. And let's again try just to come here, put here to the 13. I will click then F1 to push to GitHub. And so after here, if we just come back to here to the terminal, you will see that running git script is happening, and 5-6 seconds later we got all that changes visible on the all devices. So let's back to the iPad again, just to make, let's delete the 13 and put the 14 here. So if I just click push, I'm all the time using the Apple Pencil which I have here. And I make the changes in Flutterflow. As you can see, it's still pushing to GitHub. And then if I just come back to the running process here, as you can see on the iPad and on iPhone SE, on Android Motorola, on macOS native app here on that Mac Mini, and also here on that Mac Mini in Chrome, we have all that stuff running immediately. So actually here we have 5 running Flutter processes of the same app. Let's try again once more. If we are here, just to make that stress test for the FlutterFlow-socket, how that is working. So here we have the logout 15. Use the Apple Pencil's push to repository. So you can use the FlutterFlow app maybe on couch or anywhere, and if the testing device is there, so over the Wi-Fi that running processes. So that's the way how you can also test the app there. As you can see, the logout 15 is also on that device. So that's the possibility how you can utilize the desktop Mac app and make because the FlutterFlow iPad app is working awesomely there, then you can develop the stuff on iPad, and on that same iPad you can test how that one is working. Because natively the Xcode is not possible to use on iPad, but if you're using the iOS Wi-Fi connection for debugging the FlutterFlow iOS app, then you can also on iPad run the iOS Flutter app, and then also have the development process on that same device. So, and that is really awesome, which can only give you there the FlutterFlow with that feature. So let's try again. Logout 16, not that one. Close that one here. Push to repository. Push. And my idea is that I have here on the desktop just the one key keyboard where I can use like I'm using right now, the F1 in FlutterFlow. Then I can use also the one key keyboard anywhere, or maybe the Bluetooth keyboard with one remote shutter or whatever, which will then push to GitHub. So you make the changes in iPad, maybe to the logout. Okay, it's not 12, it's the 17. I want to have the 17. Then I click F1 on the, but actually here it will not take, it didn't pass enough time because right now it seems that it will push just the logout without the number 17. But just wait a moment, what will be there. But actually it did take that changes, which is also awesome. It just didn't immediately update the logout to 17 on macOS app on FlutterFlow. But let's then, so we are making with the Apple Pencil changes in FlutterFlow app, what you can see there in the top left corner. Then we put to the 18. We have that one, and we just need to wait a little bit more that we can see that changes here in FlutterFlow macOS app. It will be soon, but I think I just need to make the focus to that one. That's correct. Let's try again. Just come here. I will change to the 19. So, and click anywhere. And as you can see here on the left side, that one, it's synchronized automatically. All that is happening through the FlutterFlow database, which is built on top of Firebase. So when I make that changes, like in any other FlutterFlow app from 19 to 20, maybe there, and I click anywhere on the iPad, just waiting for a few seconds there, it will synchronize that changes to my macOS FlutterFlow app also. So let's come here on the iPad, click 21, insert 21, and click F1 on the desktop there. And what is actually happening here, I have been using the, again, FlutterFlow macOS app to push to GitHub with F1 shortcut, but making the changes on iPad there. And then using the Mac Mini for running all that 5 processes there. If I just with 5 fingers switch to the app, I can see on the iPad all that changes. Let's again, if we just come here and switch from 21 to 22 and click F1, it will push to GitHub. And then if we just come back to the terminal here, so we are waiting for that changes, and immediately right now, as you can see, the running Git scripts come there. And if we again check screen sharing, we can see that logout 22 is there. So let's back on the iPad to the logout 22 and switch that one to the 23. So here we are, and click the F1 on macOS. And as you can see here, we have pushing to GitHub on macOS. And when that snack bar is becoming green, immediately at that moment, GitHub will push the webhook to the Mac Mini there. Let's try that one again. On iPad, create the 24, put the 24, click the F1 here on the Mac, and using the macOS there, and you will see really soon now did come the webhook here in the terminal, and after 6 seconds all the new changes for that Flutter app come there, and then that process sent a Unix signal to that another 5 processes here to make the hot reload of the app. And that's all how that one. Let's for the ending just put here 25, use the push to repository from iPad, that's also possible. And as you can see on iPad right now, it's running push to GitHub. And when that green snack bar appears there, we can then switch here. And as you can see, and few seconds later, we got the changes on the device. So we have been just switching something really simple. But for example, as you can make any changes there in the FlutterFlow app, for example, just make something like this, use the macOS app here with F1, and that one will push to GitHub. As you can see, we did multiple times cross-test all the possible features what can FlutterFlow-socket can do there. And you can also make that one on much more devices. Right now we are testing on the 5 of them immediately there, but we can do that one on more than as much as can your CPU on the device can take that one. Probably that Mac Mini can take maybe even more devices there. It has 24 gigabytes of RAM there. So we will just then in next video check how much resources it's using right now. Actually, right now the ventilator is somewhere there, something above 1000 rotation per minute, and it's really silent here on the desktop. And cores are something around 84, 85 Celsius degrees. So it's behaving really nice there. And actually right now I have 3 monitors here in front of myself, which is running all that stuff. And Mac Mini with Pro processor with M4 with 12 cores can take that one really easy. So let's then again try to maybe switch the color of that logo button, click F1, and you can continue development on macOS, in browser, on iPad, wherever you want. As you can see here, we are rating. So right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So in about 9 seconds after push to GitHub, you can see all that changes immediately on multiple devices. Let's test again. So we have, for example, let's switch back logout 25. Maybe here we can put 26 and have that one maybe larger, 64, just to see much more. And then we can click with F1. As you can see in few seconds, Flutterflow right now it's pushing to the GitHub, and when the snack bar appears there, we'll just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As you can see, after the push to GitHub, so after all that testing in last 20 minutes, I want to show how all that exactly is working. You'll see with 5 fingers when I'm switching on iPad between that two apps, you can see that I'm switching between FlutterFlow iOS app and FlutterFlowBenchmark iOS app, which is currently running. So let's, for example, I just want to also come here and click here and move it left, just to have that one better visible. And then just select that one to maybe to 27. What you can see here, not 22, 27. Yeah, 27. And that should work. And also here is the fill color, put to ternary. And for example, right now, you'll see when I click immediately in F1, at that moment, macOS app Flutterflow is automatically clicking on that 3 buttons and make the push to GitHub. What you can see here, we have the logout 26 on 26 on devices, but immediately all that is changed to logout 27. And also here on the iPad we have logout 27. So also let's then maybe switch that one to 28. And from here we can have push to repository push. As you can see right now, the push to GitHub is processing by iOS Flutterflow app on iPad, actually here. And you will see that on all that devices is automatically, we can see the changes. That device is actually that one, Motorola Edge 30 Ultra there. And again, let's just come back to the Flutterflow, make the changes to 29 here, and what we can click F1, and with F1 we got that one push to repository from Flutterflow macOS app. And so we'll see when now the push to GitHub is done. In about 8 seconds we can see all the changes on all devices. Now we have that. Thank you. Hi, I will explain you how the BetterTouchTool can automate clicking and make the shortcut that one click with F1 keystroke can perform all that necessarily clicking inside of the macOS Flutter app for push to GitHub. So for all apps, I have here the keyboard shortcut F1. So then the first action will be that it doesn't matter on which window you are on the multiple screens on the macOS. It will select the specific window which exactly has the window title Flutterflow. So it should start with F and end with W. Because, for example, I have the app FlutterFlowBenchmark, what you can see there. And if there is the no dollar sign as the regular expression, sometimes it will select that window. So you want always specifically select the Flutterflow window there. And then just wait for the 0.3 seconds, 300 milliseconds. That's almost instant, but because of all that animations between switching the windows, you want to have that delay. You don't want to perform further because it will not become visible all the user interface there. And then we will run the named trigger, Flutterflow GitHub push. That is just the reusable action inside of BetterTouchTool, because specifically in the Flutterflow app, if you are there, you can use the Control G as the same shortcut. And also F1 I put there as a test just. But my idea was to put the Command G, but FlutterFlow already have the activation of magic cursor with Command G. So then when you are inside of the app, it's not necessarily to activate the window there again. So just perform that named trigger. And then just to see how the named trigger looks like there. So what will be there? So actually it will perform that first step is actually that one. I will show you. So it will just put the mouse here. Then the next left click without modifier keys, it will be that one. Later then it will move window, it will move the mouse so relatively to the top right corner, so the top right corner here. So that will be to position here. What you can see, it is always that two coordinates, that one and that one is relatively to the that corner, top right corner in absolute pixels. So it doesn't matter the size of the Flutterflow macOS window, that will always work because that two controls will be always the same distance from the top right corner. Then you perform delay for 0.3 seconds. Why? Because so it will move there. You don't want to click before 0.3 seconds because when you click here, that pop-up menu is not immediately visible. But after 0.3 seconds in 99% of time, it will be visible. Then you click here. So you got that one commit a message custom dialog. If you are switching the window, what you can see, that custom dialog is always in the middle of the screen. So now it's not possible that you can locate that button relatively to the top right corner. So what you need, you also then wait for 0.3 seconds that one custom dialog appear, and then move X coordinate, so 189 pixels in the right direction and 83 pixels in the down direction relatively to the center of the active window. So relatively to something like this point. So it will go here, here, and then as the end, as the final action, it will just perform left click. And that's it. So that's actually how you, with BetterTouchTool, can perform almost anything. So it's now pushed to GitHub. And actually right now on my desktop, everything is reloading. Actually, we didn't make any changes here. But if, for example, make something to 30. But let's imagine I will now switch that one window is active, not the Flutterflow. So I click the mouse there, and for example, when that one window is visible, and for example, I can move it to another screen also. I put it here, I put it on my first screen here. From that window, I can click the F1. You will see that everything is performing well in Flutterflow, what you don't see because I put that one to be a little bit smaller, F1 there, and right now it's working. But actually what you can see that the last delay of 0.3 seconds the first time was not long enough. So maybe, but like I said, in 99% of time that will work. If sometimes it's not working, you can then just or increase to 0.4, 0.5, or you can just twice click F1. So let's again select another window, click F1, and as you can see, everything is performing well there with that optimization of that one nice shortcut. My idea is to create Flutterflow app, which can have there one button, and then with that one button, you can remotely trigger something like this. And initially it will be idea just with keyboard with one button there where you can shortcut push to GitHub, like you can have some kind of shortcuts in the games there. Thank you. During the recording this video, I figured out that would be really useful to open source and share with you that BetterTouchTool flutterflow-socket preset. So actually then I just uploaded that one to the flutterflow-socket repository in the main branch, and that's actually that one file, flutterflow-socket.btt preset. If you just open that file, you'll see it's the really simple JSON, which have all that declarations about all that clickings and everything. So if you are using the BetterTouchTool on your Mac, feel free to use that one and import that preset to use in FlutterFlow macOS app F1 keystroke for a shortcut to push to GitHub. Hi, and thank you very much for attention during that 35 minutes. And especially I want to apologize for that 20 minutes of debugging session with 19 changes in Flutterflow, but I really want to be clear that you understand how you can utilize the best Flutterflow socket there and make the changes in Flutterflow with iPad, with Apple Pencil, or on macOS Desktop app, in web or in Windows, whatever you best suits your needs. And then you can test that one with on one or multiple debugging Flutter processes. And I think that's something which can improve the whole process. Also, the FlutterFlowBenchmark project in upcoming months will got all the major Flutterflow features there, and then I will test how long it takes with that Mac Mini to build iOS, Android, web application, macOS, Linux, and Windows app there. Also, my idea is to create a completely local continuous integration and continuous delivery bunch of scripts, ideally one script, which you can then run, and the app will be deployed anywhere. I really like to use the CodeMagic, especially because it has everything there out of the box, which you can use it. But I think now when the Apple releases that really cheap Mac Minis with M4 processors, and if you have a really nice with huge bandwidth internet connection in your office, for example, like I have 1 gigabit there, and then connect that Mac Mini to the UPS, you can have 24/7 upcoming server which can listen for your changes, and then you can really cheap build the app, release there on the App Store, Google Play, and for on the web, and also for desktop, Windows, macOS, and Linux, and you can deploy on your website. Thank you very much, and I'm really happy that I will plan and record new video there on the channel. Thank you very much, and see you then later.